Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hope you are all wonderfully well. I have felt so tired this past week. I've not felt like this, as bad as this, for a long time. It actually reminds me of how I felt in the early stages of pregnancy with both of my girls. And I felt so discombobulated this week. Words just don't come out of my mouth right. Words keep failing me. And I just don't seem to have the energy to be able to do anything. It's been a really busy week this week. And yesterday, after I finished school with my children, in between finishing school with them and taking them to dancing, we've got like an hour's window. The children always play. And I just had to lay down and have a rest. And that's not like me. Normally, I'm just constantly on the go, always doing something, but I literally just had to lay down and rest. I have been holding on to my shungite balls quite a lot to just try and ground me a little bit. And this is an actual physical sensation that I'm feeling inside of my own body. So this isn't looking out there at, everything that everybody's saying and thinking, oh, yeah, yeah, this is how I feel inside. I've never felt as exhausted as I have this past week. And there's been some really significant flares coming from the sun. And I've had so many of you, and thanks to everybody that sent me information and pictures and their story over the past week. There's so much going on all over the world. I feel really privileged to be in the situation that I'm in because I'm connected to so many people all over the world, both through my YouTube channel, through my colleagues, but also through my students as well. So I get to hear a lot of stuff. And I've had lots and lots of people sending me pictures of the different auroras that they have witnessed and seen and taken pictures of this week. And the auroras have been traveling down from the poles and up from the poles. So normally the auroras are obviously around the top of the planet, around the bottom of the planet, around where the poles are. But over the past week, the auroras have been traveling down the planet and up the planet to places where normally they would not be. So we can't normally see the auroras in our country. We just can't. I mean, they're known to us as the Northern Lights. You have to go up to be able to see them. And they have been visible in our country. I mean, that's never been known. It's never been known that you would see auroras in England. And I've heard from people in Australia as well that have said the auroras there have moved further up the country to places that normally you just would not be able to see them. Now, the auroras on the planet it's the Earth's magnetosphere, it's the protective energy, the protective layer. It's her aura, if you like, that protects her energy from things out there affecting us and her. And what we're starting to see is whatever it is that's out there currently is having an effect on the magnetosphere and the aura of Earth, because those auroras are starting to travel further down from where they normally would be. They're supposed to stay around the poles. If they're around the poles, that means that the solar wind and the things that affect Earth are only getting in to Earth through those very tight areas around the poles. When the auroras start to spread, that shows you that her defense mechanism is not working as well as it should, and potentially whatever is coming in is able to get into a bigger expanse of area than before. I'm also seeing pictures of different colours of auroras as well than what you would normally see all over the planet. I've had to sleep a heck of a lot this week. I've been supposed to be putting together some new papers for my students on colour. And I delivered this new training over the past couple of weeks. And there's a paper that I want to put together regarding it as well that I was supposed to be sending out to my students. And every single night when I'm supposed to have been writing it, I've just had to go to bed. Absolutely shattered. In fact, the kids have wanted to stay up later than us. We've literally been begging the children to go to bed. And then as soon as the children have gone to bed, me and my husband have just literally collapsed in bed because we're absolutely shattered. And no matter how much sleep we've got, it's never been enough. So I would be really interested to hear for all of us to chat about this on the comments. Have you felt the same this past week? Because I've felt most unusual. I mean, years ago, I used to be affected by the energy as it came in. And then in more recent times, it's not affected me as much. But this last week, it's been really, really rough. And as I've been talking to clients that I've spoken to this week about what's occurring on the planet, and students and people that I'm connected to all over the world, many, many people have commented on either the oceans being different, or some people have reported actually physically seeing planets or celestial shapes with their own eyes, but these people are only in the southern hemisphere. So some people that I've spoken to have told me that they have seen a planet with their own eyes in the southern hemisphere. Some people have reported to me that the flooding, say for example in New Zealand, has been really bad in certain areas, and it's just not been reported in the mainstream media. Nobody's talking about it. It's like the mainstream media is literally just reporting on things to distract people. They're not reporting on what it is that's actually occurring. This past week, my parents have told me a story about they went to the supermarket the other day, and in the supermarket car park, as they drove into the supermarket car park, there was just loads of crows, and they weren't moving out of the way as the cars were coming in. And so my parents parked up, and my mother was looking specifically at this one crow that was near them. And she said it was acting in the strangest way. She'd never seen anything like it. It was just almost screaming, just screaming. And this crow actually came towards my mum and dad. And my mum and dad were like, what do we do? There's a crow that appears to be trying to talk to us, but we don't really know what it wants. And I've seen reports of that in videos as well all over the world, of birds who are very connected to the magnetic field, the electromagnetic field, the magnetosphere, the magneticism, if you like, of the Earth. And obviously something is changing because the birds are confounded. They don't know what they're doing. Both my dog and my cat have been very ill this week. And as we know, animals are very connected to the planet. Both of them have been vomiting on different days. So it was my cat first, and then 2 or 3 days later, it was my dog. And we've not changed their food. There's no physical reason for why it is that they appear to be ill. So it's just things like that. All of these things adding up, that if you are connected and you're not drugged up on fluoride, and if you're not riddled with AI throughout your body that's closing down your pineal and your heart centers, and your ability to think critically, then you can start to build up a picture that something is not quite right here. And it is my strong belief that we are beginning the period of time where things are going to show in the physical. Now, you'll remember all of my videos over all of the years that I have posted. I always used to say things have to happen energetically first before they will show in the physical. And I am going to go on to talk about that later on in this video, because I want to talk about our energetic bodies as well and what we can be doing right now to make sure that we don't get physically ill. Because a few people have asked me about that, and I'm happy to share my knowledge with everybody regarding what to do there. But for a long time, energetically, there's been a lot going on the planet regarding the separation of the oil and the water, the separation of service to self, service to others, the separation between light and dark, whatever the polarity of light and dark, however you choose to look at it, the polarity of people who want to stay in the third dimension, the polarity of people that want to move up to the fifth. And I've been talking to my students about this over the past 2 weeks. It's my belief, and this is just my belief, my hypothesis, if you like, that when we decide to break off from the main source energy, we cycle through all of the different colors of incarnation, because the entire universe is energy, frequency, and vibration. And every frequency has a specific color. So to start off with, we cycle through the root incarnations. So the red color incarnations, and these will be incarnations that are focused solely on survival. That is to get us used to being light within a physical form. So we will start off in the incarnations such as insects and shoals of fish. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. Shoals of fish and creatures on the bottom of the ocean, and insects and animals and beings that are solely focused on survival. That is their only focus. And we all know these types of creatures. They don't do things out of joy. They're not interested really in procreating. It's all about survival. And these are the incarnations that we cycle through to start off with to teach us about the root energy. Then we go into incarnations that explores the orange color, the orange energy. You'll have to bear with me this week because I'm so discombobulated. I can't get my words to come out. The connection between my throat and my brain appears to be severed. So please bear with me. Takes me a while. Might look like I'm thinking, but it's because lights are on and no one's home. So then we go into the orange incarnations, and these are again animal type incarnations that are starting to understand that there is joy to be had in life. And not only is there joy to be had, but there is procreation to be had as well. And these incarnations will start out with incarnations such as, I don't know, a fox, a deer, small animals, rodent type animals, leading into the animals that have got more of a herd mentality, such as sheep and cows, because they're starting to understand that they belong to a group, moving into the incarnations where the animals are starting to understand that they are separate, such as a dog and a cat. And everybody can think about a dog and a cat. A dog and a cat very much understand what joy is. They will chase a ball, they will chase their tail, they will chase shadows, and they like to procreate. So these are your orange incarnations. Then moving up into the yellow ray. So the yellow ray, in my belief, is your human or humanoid incarnations. it is at this point that not only do we understand that we are individualized, not only do we start to cycle through the incarnations that you discover yourself, but these incarnations are all about power and control. So the yellow ray incarnations, the human incarnations, are all about power and control. And think about the series of incarnations and the time periods that we have lived in on Earth over the recent time periods, all of the wars, all of the different things that have occurred. It's all about humans, humanity, playing with the yellow ray, playing with power and control. And we have a group of beings within this cycle of time. We're coming to the end of the yellow ray opportunity now. We're supposed to have understood all of our lessons that we need to understand within the yellow ray. We're supposed to be ready to move in to the green ray, the next ray, the next experience, the next octave of being, the next unlocked awareness of consciousness that is available to us, which is the green ray, heart energy. But we have a group of beings on the planet who have so enjoyed experiencing the yellow ray. And the reason they have enjoyed experiencing the yellow ray is because they have got to the place within the yellow ray where they have all of the power and control. That's what this is about. Those guys who have become very successful within the power structure of the yellow ray do not want to let go of their hold on Earth. They don't want to let go of it. They are not willing and they are not ready to move into the green ray. Then we've got a whole group of beings on the planet that have done the yellow ray to death. They have absolutely done it over and over and over. They've been killed 1,000,000 times at the hands of people who are obsessed with power, control, and money and kudos. And we've been brought up with parents that are, obsessed with power and control. Think of every single scenario that you can think of that involves power and control. We've even done the power and control ourselves. We've experimented with being that person that is the one that's in power. And I tell you something, it's tough at the top. It's not a good place to be at the top, because if you're at the top of the power and control structure, everybody wants to take you down. Everybody. And particularly if you're surrounded by lots of dark beings as well, whose only thought daily is to take you down. It's not a good place to be. So we've done that. We've done that. And through that process, we've awakened the green ray, heart energy. All of these lessons have awakened that within us. But those guys who are doing well in the yellow ray don't want to move on. This represents all of the people that are service to self, who are looking out for their interests because they are at the top of the tree in the current Earth control structure in 3D. This represents all those of us who have become awakened during this process, and we are all ready to step into the green ray. Now, all of this talk about Nibiru, I've always been obsessed with Nibiru because I've heard everybody, not everybody, that's an exaggeration. I've heard hundreds of people talk about Nibiru in sessions. I have my own awareness of it myself from previous incarnations that I've been in. I am a very well-read individual, and I have read as much as I can that is available to us on the surface. Much of it isn't, but I've read as much as I can regarding Nibiru. I believe those of us that are awakened and on the path to the green ray, Nibiru is a catalyst for ascension. I've always believed that. Nibiru is the catalyst that we need on our planet to separate the oil and the water, to separate those who are obsessed with staying in third density from those who are ready to move into the green ray. And I believe that the closer Nibiru gets, the more crazy people will become, or God, whew, the more polarized people will become. So the closer Nibiru gets, you'll have these guys getting even more insane, and we will become even more loving and even more open and even more willing to show love and connect. And then at a certain point when Nibiru is at its perfectly divine positioning in the stars, magnetically, geomagnetically, astrologically, however you want to describe it, scientifically, spiritually, at that divine moment when Nibiru is near, it will be the catalyst for us to all together join our hearts, create our own collective consciousness, and ping up into the fifth dimension of consciousness and being and awareness. At that moment, when we move up it fully into the green ray, these guys down here that are left in the yellow ray, it's going to feel like all of the light has left from the planet, because that's essentially what has occurred. All of the people that are left in the yellow ray are the ones who are not ready yet to move up in terms of the next level of consciousness. And there's no judgment there whatsoever, because we've all been in the yellow ray for a good long while. But there's many people that joined the yellow ray eons later than some of us did. So some of us are ready to graduate, some of us aren't. Some of us need more time refining our diamond in the yellow ray. So when we've all ascended and moved into that fifth dimensional frequency of being, which is the new earth, and that is the splitting of the cell, in my opinion. Everything on the micro is reflected in the macro. This is the mitosis of a cell. So this is earth recognizing that a part of her cell, a part of herself is diseased. A part of herself doesn't work anymore. So this is Earth casting off the old cell, and the old cell represents the third dimension, and moving herself into the new cell, which is the fifth dimension. This can also be represented, if you want a visual image of, this might freak a few people out. So disclaimer, if you've got a spider or a snake phobia, don't listen to this. But when a tarantula sheds its skin, it literally looks like there is two tarantulas, and it does, because I used to have one. I used to have a snake as well. That was a long time ago. But when a tarantula sheds its skin, it looks like there's another tarantula there. And the skin that looks like there's still a tarantula there, that's the old third dimension. All of those people are going to be left on that old tarantula skin, trying to fight over the stored resources that there are, but nothing will grow, because the spirit of earth has moved over here, has regenerated herself, and she's in the new cell. I believe it's when we've moved into the new earth, into this new cell, that's when Nibiru will fully cause the chaos and destruction that is reported in the Bible to occur. This obviously links into Christianity and the rapture, and I know that many religions, and I'm not well read on religion, because that's not an area of interest for me, although maybe I should look at it, because there's a lot to be found in that. But I know many religions also report the same thing. Doesn't matter what God you believe in, all of those gods report that the people that have belief, that have faith, that have spiritual belief, that believe in something bigger than this is it, that have connected to their heart energy, these guys will find themselves in this new world, in this new place. And I don't buy into all of the people that say, you know, you've got to invite Jesus in, otherwise you're not going to ascend, or you've got to invite Allah in, otherwise you won't ascend. I believe that that's dogma that's been passed down through scripture, but it is derived from the true essence, which is what Jesus and other prophets tried to awaken within us, which is there is something else. There is more out there. We have to connect to our heart energy. We have to connect to the fact that we can do whatever we want. We are so powerful if we all put our minds and our hearts together. And that's the main message for me that's behind all of religion, is we've been suppressed. And I believe all of these prophets that ended up having religions written around them came in to try and wake us up and show us, hang on, you're giving all of your power away to these people, and you shouldn't be, because they don't have your best interests at heart. So this week, I've been sleeping a heck of a lot. And my eldest child really struggles with sleeping. And I've been chatting to one of my clients over the past week who recommended various different things to me to help my eldest child sleep. One was to get pictures of sacred geometry in green colours from nature and to place them on her ceiling. And the other one was to work with some singing bowls. Now, I don't have any singing bowls. It's something that I've always wanted. They're very expensive though. And I just don't have that money sat around waiting to be used for singing bowls. So I've never bought them. But at some point, I would absolutely love to get some singing bowls. Anyway, as you might have noticed, I've got a bit of a cold this week as well. So I'm chatting to my girls, and I said, girls, I was talking to one of my clients this week who was giving me some ideas to help you sleep. And this is directed at my eldest child. And I said, one of the things that this lady told me was to get some pictures of sacred geometry. And I showed my little girl what that was. And I said, and stick them on your ceiling. And when you look at them, it's supposed to help you go to sleep. I said, so we're going to try that. I said, and also she recommended getting some singing bowls. And both my kids kind of looked at each other, then looked at me, and they looked really happy. And I was thinking, don't know why that's just occurred. They don't even know what singing bowls are, but they seem to be happy with that idea. So I parked it and forgot about it really. Anyway, that night I was putting them to bed and brushed the teeth and everything, took them into bed. And my youngest is sat up in bed. And she's looking at me and she says, where are they, Mummy? Are they here? And I said, where's what, darling? She said, you know, the singing moles. And I went, because the penny didn't drop for me to start off with, I've been very slow this week. I said, the what? She went, the singing moles, Mummy. You said earlier today you were going to get us some singing moles. Are they coming tonight? Oh my God. And I've not been able to stop laughing about that all week. I know it's the little things. So then they were very devastated when I explained that I didn't mean moles. Mummy's got a cold. I'm sorry if it sounded like moles. Bowls. Singing bowls? What's a singing bowl? So I showed them what a singing bowl was. They weren't very impressed with that at all. So then we had to Google singing bowls. And there was a couple of videos, cartoon obviously, with moles singing. But then we ended up on like a really, really strange rabbit hole of Googling swimming moles. And if you Google swimming moles, there's quite a few videos out there of moles swimming. And they are the cutest things that you've ever seen in your life. So if you want to do anything for yourself this week to cheer yourself up, Google swimming moles and you're welcome. Um, Happy to report that one of my chickens has started laying eggs this week. The white one, she was always the best layer. She started laying again this week, and we've not changed anything regarding a feed. And I know many people have said to me, chickens stop laying eggs in the winter, and I know that. I've had chickens for a couple of years now. I do know they stop laying, but our chickens literally stopped laying the second the summer ended. And well, one of them's just started laying again. It's been over 6 months. And it does make me wonder if the chickens can sense that that bright white light up there is not the real light, because they can connect to things that we can't connect to. And for a long time, I felt that the light up there is the sun simulator. And there's many, many pieces of footage that you can find on that on the internet. Um, there's an excellent channel. I don't know if she's done much for a while, but I used to watch her a lot, called, I think it's The End of Days. And she used to talk about the sun simulator and the manufactured light a lot. And I know myself that that is an actual thing. I'm sorry to everybody that I'm going over this again, but in 2017, I saw the moment when the real sun dimmed because me and my daughter could look at it. And the next day, this white, ridiculously bright thing was there. And some people will say, well, that was the sun starting to burn more helium. It was burning brighter. And it could be that. It could be that. But I don't believe it is because I've seen videos of the sun simulator. Um, and this sun simulator is white hot. It burns metal. And I've heard reports from people all over the world saying that when they've tried to sunbathe in more recent times, the sun is absolutely burning their skin. It's not normal. It's different. Something has changed. And I do believe that it is a manufactured light that is basically millions of halogen lamps. And you can see videos of this on the internet that they've put up there simply to obscure our view of our sun, which is millions of miles away. Not saying that they've put a halogen bulb in front of our sun because they can't, because the sun's millions of miles away. I'm saying they've put something up in our atmosphere that obscures our view of seeing the sun. And why would they do that? Because Nibiru arrives in the direction of the sun. So it's to obscure our view of it until it is upon us. And at that point, then I believe they'll switch off the manufactured light. And that will probably be what we know as the 3 days of darkness, because we will notice the immediate absence of the light because they switched off the manufactured light. But actually, that light has been slowly and gradually dimming as Nibiru, the star that's at the center, Nemesis, has been coming closer towards our sun, because the two exchange energy and the one that's returning hasn't got much energy to exchange. So our sun is losing its energy to the returning sun. So it dims our sun. And I believe when they switch the manufactured light off, everybody then will suddenly think, oh my God, the sun's gone black, it's gone dark. But actually, it wouldn't have been as traumatic if we'd have been able to see it happening gradually over time. We would have been able to witness it. That's just my opinion. But I don't want anybody to have any worries around the return of Nibiru. I've thought about this long and hard, and I know I've already explained this earlier on, but there has to be a catalyst, doesn't there? There has to be something in order to create the new dimension. And it has to be something big. Does it not have to be something celestial? Does it not have to be something big in order to separate these two very significant and very different energies from each other that have been together all of this time? As Nibiru has been approaching, and we have probably not been aware, it has been Nibiru that has been the energy behind some of us opening our hearts, as well as the light that's coming in. And these guys over here polarizing more towards service to self. So for me, although I know for many people on the planet, the return of Nibiru, when they realize what is occurring, will be very traumatic. For me, it's the birth of the new earth. It's the birth of a new dimension, a new time for Earth. It's the time that we have all been waiting for. It's the reason why we're here. I've heard reports from some light workers this week. They've emailed me, and I'm not entirely sure these people are actually real. I think a lot of them are deep state shills that just hound me constantly. Deep state shills are constantly looking for ways to try and make me miserable. They try very hard to do this, bless them. And I've had a few people this week say to me, why are you talking about Nibiru? You know, I don't want to talk about that. It makes me very uncomfortable. It makes me feel really ill. We need to be talking about high frequency things. But that's why we've ended up in this mess. That's why we've ended up in the mess that we're in. Because everybody wants to turn a blind eye to the darkness. Everybody wants to turn a blind eye to it and say, I'm a high frequency light worker and I'm doing this over here, and not acknowledge what's building and amassing over here. It takes some very, very brave people, very brave light warriors, to be able to hold the light that they know that they are, to hold the light that they know that they have, and also be able to look at the darkness and say, okay, so those guys are doing that over here, over there, and we're not interested in that. Or how can we use the information to make ourselves as the light stronger? Now, for me, ignoring the darkness and pretending it doesn't exist is not an option. It's just not an option. It doesn't cut it for me. Humans are never going to fully heal. They're never going to move forwards and awaken if they don't acknowledge the darkness that is here and has been here. We have to acknowledge it first of all. Then we have to give that darkness the opportunity to accept and see its own light. And, you know, you could go down a lot of different rabbit holes and avenues here, couldn't you, regarding shadow work and all of that sort of stuff. There's different ways to describe all of this. But ignoring the light, that's wrong. Ignoring the dark is not the way to go, in my opinion, because I've lived in a timeline, in a universe, in a world where we did that, where we took that view of everything should be allowed to do whatever they want. You know, the light doesn't need to defend itself. The light just needs to be the light. And then we saw light after light after light go out. And it was only at the end that we realized where we went wrong. The light has to shine. The light has to emit light. Yes, that goes without saying. That's what the light is. but the light also has to defend the light. And if we stand there and allow the darkness to take us over, then it will all, and I've lived it, there will come a moment when you look round and you say, what happened here? What happened here? How did things get so bad? How did all of these planets, how did all of these solar systems, these galaxies have their light extinguished? And it was because we did not defend the light. We did not fight for the light. We did not try to keep the balance. There has to be balance in the universe. Now, I'm not talking about eradicating the darkness fully. There's got to be balance in the universe. But in the case of Earth, in the timeline that I have lived through previously, Earth came massively out of balance. And that is why we are here, to ensure that that doesn't occur this time. There has to be people that are allowed to awaken, that are allowed to embrace their light, that are able to ascend to the fifth dimension. There has to be that. We can't allow the darkness to grow and pervade, because it will take down the entire universe. There has to be balance. If you think about the universe as the immune system of a body, what kind of immune system would that be if we didn't tackle these things? If we let the cancer spread throughout the entire universe, and then the very last cell of light, we said, oh dear, I think a disease has spread throughout the entire universe and we've only got one cell of light left now. Oh, I think we better defend ourselves. It's too late then. It's too late then. So see yourself as a part of the immune system of Gaia, as the part of the immune system of the universe. And what we're doing right now is making sure that everything is healthy and as it should be. Now, the first place that that starts is in you, in your own self. Now, this is one of the things that I'm really, really passionate about. Don't know if you've noticed that. And I talk about this a lot, but I talk about it a lot because it means a lot to me. We are not just a physical body. You have many bodies, but one of the bodies that is very, very key is your energetic body. Now, we were not taught this in school. I was never taught this. I grew up knowing that there was something very wrong with the way my body felt, my physical body, but I wasn't taught why that was. Nobody ever taught me that we had a series of energy centers in our body that are all connected to a different energy, to a different color frequency within our body, and that the deliverance of that particular color, energy, and frequency is what keeps our energy full of vitality, health, and well-being. And that if we have an energy body that's full of vitality, health, and well-being, then ergo, we will have a physical body that's full of health, vitality, and well-being. Nobody ever told me that. Nobody. This is something that was awoken within me when I had my own spiritual awakening, and I didn't know what was happening to me. I had no idea. When I woke up spiritually, I literally thought I was losing my mind. And everybody around me thought I was losing my mind. And I think I narrowly escaped being committed because I woke the first in my family, friends. I was very early on. And learning all of this stuff about the energy body is what has fueled my desire, if you like, to help humans heal. Because through all of the knowledge that I have gained over the years, I realized that when I was younger, my energetic body was in such a bad way. The human being is white light. Your energy centers are the colors of the rainbow, fractalized out from white light. If you put a prism and you shine white light through it, that's what our energy centers are. We are a beautiful and perfect combination of the key colors of the universe, the colors that are shown in the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, white, going into white. We are color. We are light. Human beings are supposed to be full of color and light. We're supposed to have bright red in the root, vivid fiery orange in the sacral, bright yellow in the solar plexus, the most beautiful emerald green, the green of forests in the heart, vivid blue in the throat. Some people say indigo, some people say violet, whatever, indigo violet in the third eye, and violet going into white in the crown. We're supposed to have access to all of those colors, and together we are white light. Using all of the energy centers together, we are white light. We connect up through the crown to source, and we bring that white light down through the crown, down through us as a conduit of white light, down into Gaia. That's why we're here. We are supposed to channel light into the planet, and we're supposed to be guardians of the planet as more highly evolved consciousness beings that are in the yellow ray moving into the green ray. And I believe when we get into the green ray, then that's when we move into our light body. So that's then when we become more light. Each evolution, each band of frequency, you're going from something really quite dense, becoming more and more and more light. So when you get up to the green ray, these are your incarnations where you're in your light body. Whereas we're in a meat suit now, aren't we, in the third dimension? This is when we get to grips with all of the lessons of a human. You don't get to move into the green ray, into that area of being, until you can master what's up here. Because when you get into that level, everything that you think about, you create. So they're not going to allow psychopaths to go into, that area, that energy, because everything that you think about, you create. Moving onwards from that, then we start to come out of the human form, or a form, and we start to identify more with being an energy instead of a form. Instead of needing to be a form, we start to become energy and pure consciousness. Eventually, we will find our soulmate group of consciousnesses, and then we connect back with them and become a collective consciousness. And then at a certain point, when that group has come together, the final stage is then to connect back to source light and go back to the Godhead. So this is what we're supposed to be doing. Now, your energy body is fractalized out light. It's supposed to be beautiful, vivid colors. But what happens is, due to the density that we are in, because the darkness has completely taken over this reality, due to the density that we are in, this world is so fractured and broken. Ancestral trauma is passed down. These dark ones, these demons, these whatever you want to call them, have been whispering in the ears of man, the minds of man and woman, for eons. And where we should be presented as the beautiful colours of the rainbow, all of our colours of our energy centres have become muddy and dark. If you think of the palette of a paint of paints that should be beautiful and vivid, they've all become murky and mixed up because our consciousness has become mixed in with their consciousness. And every pain that we are subjected to as a child or an adult causes an emotion. And if you don't heal that emotion, that trauma, it makes your energy centers, which correspond to that trauma, full of pain. It distorts the color. it murkies up the colour, it blackens the colour, it inverts the frequency of that true, beautiful colour of energy. And when that energy center becomes murky and full of pain, when it's no longer vibrating at the true frequency that, let's say, for example, yellow should, the solar plexus, when it's no longer vibrating at the frequency that it should be, because it's full of pain, because that individual has a parent that brutalizes them and tells them daily that they are less than, that they are insignificant, that they are worthless. It's at that point that that person's yellow ray becomes muddy, tarnished, darkened, full of pain. And these beings that exist in a lower frequency to us, that's the only reason we can't see them. That's the only reason the human eyes cannot see entities, because the human eye can only see 40% of what is there. There's 20% of frequencies that are lower than what the human eye can see. And it's these guys that live in those frequencies. These entities are then magnetized or attracted to the resonance of that pain that is held in that energy center. The entity then fixes onto the energy center and siphons that person's yellow away. So that person then has no access to the yellow ray anymore within their body. And that's because they are being traumatized and brutalized at home by a parent that's taken their confidence away. So you've now got the entity that is literally leaching that person's yellow ray, which is distorted due to the pain, into their body and their dimension. And it leaves the human with no chance of stabilizing in the solar plexus. No chance, because they have no access to the yellow ray. So what does that person do then in order to stabilize? What does that child do? They then go out there and become the classic school playground bully. They take other people's yellow. They bully other people. They take other people's confidence. They make other people feel like they have been made to feel because somebody took their yellow ray. And the only way they can feel better within their fractalized spectrum is to take other people's yellow ray. But the tragic situation here is no matter how much that individual bullies other people, no matter how much they take yellow energy from someone else in order to try and stabilize, they will never stabilize because they have a parasite on their solar plexus that's getting fat off of all of the yellow energy that this person should have for their own selves. And this is the secret to healing, in my opinion, for humanity. It is the knowledge that we have these energy centers that are connected to our traumas, if we have trauma, and they are affected by them. So your root, which is red at the base of the spine, is all about stability, safety, connection to the planet, feeling secure. If you are somebody that's had a loved one die as a child, if you are somebody that's been divorced, if you are somebody that's lost money, if you're somebody that's lost a house, if you're somebody that's lost everything, if you're somebody that's been jilted, all of these different things take your stability away. They impact your root. And as soon as your root starts to feel pain through the emotions from the trauma, that's when these entities can get in and they start to take your root energy away. And then that person will exhibit anxiety because they cannot connect fully to the planet. Everybody can think of one of these people that's constantly anxious. These people that are constantly anxious have got a root issue. People that incur a sexual trauma as a child or an adult, they will have an impacted sacral. So that sexual trauma will have caused them an emotion that's very, very intense. And they will have held that emotion in the fields. It affects the spinning of the sacral chakra. And then the colours also of the sacral chakra are not bright, vivid orange anymore. They begin to get murky. And then that's when these entities are magnetized to that pain-filled light. They latch on, and the entity takes all of the energy and siphons it into their body and dimension. So then that individual has no orange energy. So what does that mean? They have no sex drive and they're sad. They're sad people because they haven't access to the energy of joy, which is the orange. Everybody knows one of these people that has a lack that makes you feel sad because they have a sacral entity due to the traumas that they've had. When you see them, because they're so sad, they're pulling at your orange energy to try and stabilize their own spectrum. And you come away thinking, gosh, I always feel so sad whenever I've been with that person. And it's because they're taking your orange. So on and so forth throughout all of the different energy centers. Those people that have been suppressed at the throat, that had their throat taken away, their throat energy taken away. Eventually, that pain-filled blue light will attract the throat demon. That throat demon will attach, and then they become those people that attack people constantly verbally, constantly attacking people verbally, because they're taking your blue. They're taking your blue energy to try and stabilize their own spectrum because they don't have access to blue anymore because the throat demon has got it. In my opinion, if all of us clean and clear our energy body, and this goes back to identifying where your own personal traumas have been, plotting which energy center is likely to have been affected, doing work to heal that energy center, removing the entities, the low frequency parasites that are feeding off of your pain-filled light, reconnecting and cleaning all of the energy body. This is what humans should be doing, because then their physical bodies will then heal. And oftentimes it's only when people have a physical ailment that they will seek out a healer. At that point, they will say, oh God, I've got to do something about this. It's just getting out of hand. I'll try anything. I'll look outside of the box. I've heard about Reiki. I've heard about energy healing. Maybe I might need entity release. And it's at that point that somebody will come and see you. But at that point, the body has been starved of that particular colour energy that corresponds to where their illness is for so long. It's going to be a lot harder to restore health, well-being, and vitality. We can do it, absolutely, and we do it every day. But if humans could understand the importance of their energy body before the issues began to present themselves in the physical body, then that is when I believe we're moving into an area of the more evolved human. So this is what I want to say to everybody today. I had many, many messages from people last week saying, you said everybody needs to be cleaning and looking after their energy body, but what do you mean? So this is what I mean. If you don't already know what the energy body is, and let's deal with the main energy centers to start off with. There's many energy centers in the body, but look at the main energy centers. So the root at the base of the spine, which is red energy, the sacral that is around the womb area, which is orange energy, the solar plexus, which is underneath the navel, which is yellow, the heart, which is green, the throat, which is blue, the third eye, which is indigo into violet, and the crown, which is violet into white. Learn what each one of those energy centers is responsible for. Your root gives you stability. Your sacral gives you joy, creativity, and sensuality. Your solar plexus gives you confidence. Your heart is where you feel love. Your throat is where you speak. It's where you make yourself known. It's where you express yourself. It's where you defend yourself. Your third eye is where you connect with the other parts of your multidimensional self. So the other parts of your multidimensional self. Your crown is where you connect with all that is. So if you're suppressed at the root, then you're going to feel anxious because you've had your stability taken away. If you've been suppressed at the sacral, you're going to feel sad or have no sex drive because you've had your joy taken away. And people also that have a fractured relationship with a mother figure in their life will have an issue with the sacral. If you have had your confidence taken away, if you've been suppressed in terms of your ability to protect and stand up for yourself, you're going to have an issue with the solar plexus and you're going to feel low self-esteem. Issues with the heart normally manifesting grief and sadness. Grief is the lowest end of the scale in terms of the energies that can be felt through the heart. If you've been suppressed at the throat, then you're going to feel like you can't speak. You'll be one of those people that when you are given the opportunity to speak, has to clear their throat repeatedly or cough. When I do a session with somebody, as I'm talking to them and as I'm asking them about their life, if they're coughing or if they're repeatedly clearing their throat, that's a sign for me that there's a blockage in the energy around the throat. If you've been made to feel stupid as a child because you saw energies that your parents or significant adults couldn't see, and you tried to talk to your parents or those adults about those energies and you were just made fun of, then it's likely that you've closed your third eye energy down. Also, if you're still drinking fluoride filled beverages, toothpaste with fluoride in, and you're still using products that contain aluminum or aluminium, there's going to be issues around the third eye energy center. And the crown, this could be, religious dogma telling you that you do not try and contact source directly yourself. That's witchcraft. You've got to come into a church and you contact God through a priest and through a priest only. That's likely to cause issues around the crown. And also as well, nowadays, we have all of the AI issue to contend with, and that's another video altogether. And I will do another video on that in future weeks. But I think a very, very important thing that everybody that's listening to this video could do right now in terms of their own health, vitality, and well-being is to write out the energy centers in the body, write out the traumas that they have incurred in their lifetime, write down whether they feel that they are healed. Have they managed to heal them? Write down if they have any physical ailments that correspond to the place where that energy center is, where they have had the trauma. Because if they do have physical ailments in that place that corresponds to where they had the trauma, so let me give you an example of that. If you had a trauma early on in your childhood, if you had one or both of your parents die early on in your childhood, that's going to fracture the root. If you are now in this present day suffering from sciatica, which is to do with the base of the spine, then it's likely that you have got a serious issue with your root energy center. It's likely you've got some kind of parasite there that got in when you felt the pain and the loss of your parent. And that parasite is siphoning off the majority, not all, because it can't siphon off all of the root because you'd be dead. But it's likely it's siphoning off the majority of the energy that is in your root. And that will make you feel anxious. It will give you sciatica. It will stop you from connecting to the planet correctly. You need to deal with all of this. And I don't care how high frequency a light worker you feel you are. I have met and spoken to and done sessions with some of the most, I won't say all, but some of the most highest frequency people on this planet. And actually, some of the most highest frequency people on the planet are the ones that have the most entities because they have been purposefully targeted by the dark to bring them down. I'm going to leave you with one last analogy to breathe life into this because I'm conscious that I have spoken for quite a long time. But I am very passionate about this. So when I start speaking, I can't stop. But high frequency light workers will say to me, I just don't understand your what is it again? Soul center healing hypnosis. Can't get my head around that. Entity release, I don't think I need that. Yeah, I mean, I had a terrible upbringing, absolutely horrendous, but I've faced my shadow and I think I'm all right now. And I just want the high, I just want the quantum travel and I want to speak to my higher self. I'm not interested in entity release. But what I would say to you is this. I always use the analogy of the hot air balloon. As light workers, as people, you are a hot air balloon that is stationed on the earth. You've got the air in your balloon, that's your spiritual awakening, and you've got the ropes coming off that balloon that's attached to sandbags that are on the floor. The sandbags that are on the floor represent your entities that have got in to your energetic body when you were a child, before you realized you were this high frequency being, before you had your spiritual awakening, before all of this occurred. The ropes that go from these sandbags, which represent your entities, are the cords which connect them to you, energetic cords. As you go through your spiritual awakening and you become this high frequency being, which has happened, and you have your Kundalini awakening or whatever it is, your balloon starts to rise off the floor, which represents you raising your vibration, as we've all done. But unless you deal with these sandbags and ropes that are attaching your balloon to the ground, unless you deal with them, no matter how much you attempt to raise your frequency, you will not be able to lift off. You will not be able to rise into the next level of being because you've still got these energetic breaks that are holding you down, anchoring you down in density. And people will say to me, well, that makes no sense to me. I'm the light. I'm high frequency. How can these low frequency energies come near me? Surely my vibration in and of itself is what protects me. But it's the whole frog in the boiling pot scenario, isn't it? These entities got in when you were a child, when you were a little child, and you had no idea they were there. Most people think that these entities are just a part of themselves, their shadow self, the part that they don't like to look at. It's not even them. These entities grow as this person grows. They are feeding off of the pain-filled light that is in the energy centers. And no matter how high frequency you get, most people, unless they truly heal, will always feel pain and they won't be able to say goodbye fully to those traumas until you have these entities removed. When we do this as practitioners, we get different types of clients. You'll get clients at the beginning when we run white light down the body. And if these clients don't meditate, their entities will come up straight away. And you can deal with those entities straight away because those entities are not used to the high frequency white light being passed down the body. You get other entities that are attached to people that are awakened beings that meditate, that consider themselves to be very, very high frequency, but they still have entities attached because these entities are used to the vibration. They have grown together. And these particular entities are used to dealing with being attached to the high frequency individual. Don't forget, these entities are attached to the person's energetic body. So if the energetic body still contains pain-filled light in the energy centers, it's not going to harm the entity at all. So as high frequency beings, think about your energy body, think about your traumas, and help yourselves to work through that trauma and to heal it. Look into the energy body, look into what it is, look into what it does. Look at your own body and see where you have issues in your body. Does it correspond to the particular energy center where you had that trauma as a child? And in Soul Center Healing Hypnosis, this is all the work that we do at the beginning. Because it's no good taking you on an amazing quantum travel and speaking to your higher self if your body is full of energies that are keeping you anchored in 3D. And actually, some of these quantum travels and the higher self that you talk to, if you've got demons, you're not talking to the higher self anyway. Most people are talking to a demon. So you've got to take these things off at the beginning of the session. You've got to help the client clean and deal with and heal their traumas. You've got to rebuild the energy body, rebuild the aura before you even begin to think about looking in the quantum and the rest of all that is. That's why I developed Soul Center Healing Hypnosis, because I had so many clients coming to me that were just so broken and so ill and so traumatized. And I'd end up talking to these entities every time that would come up. And I realized that there's something else going on here. And this is how I've developed the technique over the years. The majority of humans do not understand that we are parasited upon by negatively polarized entities that exist in a higher dimension than us. So we are in the third dimension. These negatively polarized entities are in a higher dimension. They're in the fourth dimension, but they are a lower frequency because the entire universe is energy, frequency, and vibration. There are multiple things going on here that the human being has no idea about. The human eyes can only see 40% of all that is. And so where have all these legends, where have all these accounts come from over the years of demons, of reptilians, of Dracos, of lizard beings? Where have all these pictures, all these sculptures come from over the years that are millions, or maybe not millions, thousands of years old? Where have they all come from? We have had a key part of what we should have known denied from us. I will say this one last thing, then I'm going to go. Why do you think the ancient Egyptians were so obsessed with cats? Cats are incredible beings because where the human being can only see the visible spectrum, so we can see red, which is the lowest frequency and the longest wave, up to violet white, which is the shortest frequency and the highest vibration. That's the visible spectrum. That's what we can see. Below red is infrared, which is a lower frequency wave than red. And cats can see in the dark. Say that again. Cats can see in the dark. Cats can see in that lower frequency, in the absence of light. Infrared, they can see in the dark. They can also see into ultraviolet, which is a frequency that we can't see into, which is a higher frequency than violet. So as we can see that, they can see that. The Egyptians knew this. The Egyptians knew that they were incredible creatures that could see into dimensions that we can't see. And the dimensions that we can't see is the infrared stuff down here, the low frequency stuff, and the ultraviolet stuff up here, which is the high frequency stuff. I believe all your entities exist down here in infrared. Why does the Vatican have the world's largest infrared telescope, if that weren't the case? Why is it that people are reporting seeing Nibiru using an infrared telescope in the southern hemisphere currently? Why is it that when you see all these videos of soldiers fighting with aliens or demons, that it's always through infrared? There's a really famous video of two drunk people walking towards each other, and you see a demon hop off of one drunk person and jump into another drunk person, and you see the drunk person reel backwards and go, "Ooh," at the moment in time when that entity hits them. And that was filmed through an infrared street camera, night camera. So it's the infrared spectrum, I believe, that these entities that attach to our pain-filled light exist within. And in this higher spectrum up here, that cats can also see, that's where I believe the fairies and the dragons and the unicorns and the mermaids and all of the mythical creatures of legend exist. And at one time, when we were a higher frequency before our consciousness fell, we could see these beings as well. But we've slightly slipped. We've slightly slipped further down due to the fall in consciousness. And I will often see my cat chasing fairies at night time. I've seen her run at the fairy door that we have in our house and literally knock herself out because she's been trying to follow a fairy into the door and she can't get through. And that's what the ancient Egyptians knew. That's why they always had a cat around. That's why they always had a cat under their chair whilst they sat above the chair. It's because they knew that cats are protectors of the realms and that they can see into dimensions that we can't see, into the infrared and up into the ultraviolet. So I'm going to leave you with that today because I've got to go. I hope that what I shared today was helpful to people. I am going to be sharing a lot more of this stuff because up to press, I've only been sharing it with my students, but I feel that we're moving into an area now where I need to spread more awareness regarding what it is that we're trying to do as soul center healing hypnosis practitioners and why it is that we feel it's important and why it is that we do it. I'm hoping over time that my work will be accepted by the scientific community because there are many, many people. It is known regarding the visible spectrum, the infrared spectrum, the ultraviolet spectrum, and so on and so forth. And I'm hoping over time that I will be able to write enough work and be able to prove enough through my work and through footage of my work that this is actually the case, that humans are supposed to be a rainbow inside, fractalized white light out into the colors of the rainbow. But it's through our traumas, it's through our sadness, it's through our negative, heavy emotions that our colors become darkened, become tarnished. The frequency of our waves become distorted. And it's at this point where the lower frequency beings that we can't see because they're in a lower frequency become more in resonance with us. And then they attach to our energy body and siphon our light, our pain-filled light, off into their dimension. And we are essentially fueling their world. This is the stuff that the film The Matrix was trying to tell you in a roundabout way. We are batteries for these things. They feed off of us. Why? How? Because we're complex creatures. We're fractalized out. Instead of being impenetrable, we're fractalized out into the colors of the rainbow. And then due to the emotions that the human can feel, that's how they get in. They get into us through our emotions, which are caused through trauma. If there wasn't trauma in this world, then these entities would not be able to attach to us because we would be solid, steady, harmonious beings. They wouldn't stand a chance. And that's what the ascension is all about. That's why I feel I am doing my bit for the ascension. I'm trying my hardest to teach as many people who want to come and study with me all about this, all about the different energy centers and how this occurs. And I'm trying my hardest to work personally on as many people as I can to help them to heal. And eventually, when we have taken the true frequency of our colours back, when we have taken our energy centers back, when we have healed from our traumas, we will then, with those beautiful fractalized colours that are the colours of the true rainbow, we will then be able to merge those colours back into white light and move into a higher place in the spectrum. And when we move into a higher frequency in the spectrum, these guys at the bottom, they can't come anywhere near us because we've just moved too far away. That's what we're doing now. We're cleaning up our energy centers. We're cleaning up our colors. And once all our colors are clean, we can then merge into white light and we can vibrate higher. And that, in my opinion, is the key to the ascension. And this happens all at the same time. All of these parts, all of these moving parts are important, but that is something that we can do as humans to get ourselves ready for the ascension. Consider your energy body, consider your emotions, consider your traumas, heal them, clean up your energy body, clean up your colors, vibrate like a rainbow so that you don't have any sad energy centers, so that you can then become white light, so that we can then vibrate higher, so that we can then move into the new earth. And all this is happening at the same time as the catalyst of Nibiru coming back, which allows us to move into the new earth. So I would like to hear from anybody if you've got any new reports of things that have occurred for you in terms of auroras, oceans, you know, different things in the sky, birds acting a bit strange, animals acting strange, anything that you think is noteworthy, please do put it in the comments because a lot of people will read the comments. I know it's one of the first things that I do when I look at other people's videos. I want to hear what the real people have got to say about what's happening where they are. And it's only through doing that, isn't it? Through comparing with others around the world. It's only through doing that that we can get ourselves into a really, really powerful position. And, you know, yes, all of these earth changes are scary. And I wouldn't be human if I didn't say that. But you have to hold on to that higher spiritual perspective in all of this. What would be the point in God, in Source, sending us all in? What would be the point in all of us coming in all of us having the lifetimes that we've had, in all of us waking up when we did, in all of us having the journey that we've had, where we are cleaning our bodies up, cleaning our energy up, working with growing our own plants, changing our diets, understanding the importance of light, understanding the importance of working together. What would be the point in any of this if it's the end? It's not the end. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of moving into that green ray, green heart energy. That's what we're getting ourselves ready for. So no matter what you hear regarding Nibiru and earthquakes and auroras and ash falling from the sky, I've heard of that this week as well, meteorites. Every time you hear something like that, do not let it take you into fear. This is not fear. Fear is for the other timeline. It's fear and love. We're going into love. So remember that every time I feel that little tingle of, ooh, that's made me feel a little bit scared, I think, no, we are here for this time. We actually came in for this time to be the solid heart foundation for the new earth. And what does a cell do? when it recreates itself, when it casts off the old cell, the process of mitosis, the cell takes the parts of itself that are good and it takes those parts with it. And that is what we are. We are the parts of the cell that are ready to move with Gaia into that fifth dimension. So there's no fear around any of this. It's what we're here for. On that note, I'm going to leave you because I've been talking for a good while now and better go and get something done. I love you all so very much. Thank you to each and every one of you for leaving me comments last week. That was wonderful for me because I heard from people that I've not heard from in a long time. And it was like a bit of a homecoming in a way. We've been on a long journey together, haven't we? Over many years. And we've got a way to go yet. But things are starting to progress now. And it really does feel like we're moving into the final act, if you will. And through all of this, the most important thing that we do is to always stay in love and to always, always keep vibrating high. And one of the best ways that you can keep vibrating high is to acknowledge those parts of you. You can't ignore them. Acknowledge those parts of you that need healing and understand that those hurt parts of you will have been affected in your energy body, and understand that you need to clean and clear that off and heal yourself. Right, I'm going to go. See you guys next week. Love you all lots. Bye bye.